What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Notaflexion Gaming. Today we're looking at the all-inclusive beginner's guide for Bless Unleashed for PC. I'm going to put a little disclaimer in the beginning of this video saying this video is kind of all over the place, and I touch on almost every new beginning aspect of the game. I hope I can really focus in on the things that are really most important to the beginning players, and hopefully this gets you through and you guys learn something new for the game. If you guys like the content, hit the subscribe button. If you guys love it even more, hit that notification. All the good stuff, do all the things. Let's just jump right into this guide. Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to talk about is leveling. And as with any RPG, MMO, whatever you want to call it, as far as leveling is concerned, you're going to want to follow the main quest storyline for the most part. And what you're going to do is you're basically going to be working your way around Karzakor, as you see here. It's going to bring you down here. It's going to take you around a couple times. It's going to send you over to Navarra. Then it's going to send you down to the Knoll Wastes. Then to the ruins of Tristeza. And then I believe they're going to take you through, back up through here, up to Spirios, South Spirios, Padana, Canis Mountains, Canis Valley, and then North Spirios you don't really touch on, but you can actually go up there and get a couple of extra quests up there as well. In general, leveling is going to be like this. You're going to want to do 100% all the main story quests. This is where you're going to get your bulk of your XP. The game throws XP boosters at you constantly. Use them whenever you have one. Don't ever not have one on. Have it on all the time. It will help you level 100%. It's much easier. If you want to, you can also pick up a lot of the side quests in here. You can also do a lot of dailies as well. Any of these will level you up. Note that you don't really need to grab all of the side quests, but I suggest it only because they do make some pretty good references to some funny stuff, so be on the lookout for that kind of stuff. Okay guys, and with XP, you're also going to be looking for SXP. So these dailies that you see here is going to give you an allotted SXP for each one you complete. So for instance, this one you've got 165,000 EXP and 803 SXP. Just note that when you're doing these, each one is going to be slightly different. Each of them right now looks like they're going to roughly around 800. Some of them I've already completed. So what you're going to want to do is with this XXP, this is what you're going to be using to actually level up your skills. We'll get into skills a little bit later, but as you can see here, it takes 1 SP to do this, 7 SP to level this up, 8 SP to level up Whirlwind, and basically for every 2,000 SXP, you get 1 of these points. So for every, I think it's roughly every 2,000 or 1,000, off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember. But regardless, as you level up and you do those missions, you're going to be getting SXP from them, and you're going to get SP points for every certain amount of SXP you gain. Alright guys, so let's talk about gear score next, and what gear score actually is, and what it's going to do for your character. So gear score directly correlates the amount of, basically, power you have on your character. So if we take a look, for instance, at my Expedition Axe +2, if you look to the right of the weapon, you're going to see basically all of its stats, and you're going to see gear score of 229. So specifically looking at gear score at the bottom now, if we go over here and go all the way down to ring, and if you look to the right, you're going to see gear score 1103. So like I said before, your gear score is going to basically be the amount of power that you have when you're fighting enemies out in the open world and in dungeons. With a lower gear score, you're going to have a harder time basically killing regular mobs, doing dungeon runs, etc. The gear score means more in this game than anything else. Yes, that means even more than level, even more than, whatever it is. Gear score matters the most. You can be a level 25 character, a lower level character, with a gear score of 1350, and you could dominate a level 38 character with a gear score of, maybe 1,000. It's a crazy discrepancy when it comes to gear score. So be very wary of that when you're going into dungeons, for instance. Let's take a look at that real quick. So in matchmaking, you're going to see dungeons, and if you're looking at the matchmaking conditions, let's take a look at TOL, or Temple of Lies, for instance. You're going to see a 5-man dungeon, level 32, and then a gear score of 1,044. My suggestion for anybody that's looking to do any of these dungeons, at a minimum have that number of that 1,044, but I highly suggest actually having a number 100 points over that gear score. That will ensure that you are more than prepared for that dungeon or lair or time dungeon or whatever you plan on running, and you shouldn't have an issue when running those dungeons. So that is basically how gear score works. You can upgrade your gear score by obviously leveling up your equipment, buying upgraded equipment, for instance. Let's take a look at something like my legs, for instance, is a +5 epic. with a gear score of 149. Let's say, for instance, I had the same pair of pants, but it was actually at legendary. That gear score would bump up to about a 155 if I'm not mistaken. So just pay attention to your gear scores and make sure you're always trying to level up your equipment and or buying better, more suit equipment for the content you're running, basically. That's gear score in a nutshell. Okay, guys, number 3 is going to be gear in general and the bonuses that come with each piece. So as you can see here, Expedition X +2, the attack power increased by 480. This is a mid-roll attack power increase. Be very wary of each item you guys have and what the actual effects are. So for instance, my Raider's Totem, unique effect, decreases defense of enemies affected by shoulder strike 10% for 7 seconds. Each item is going to have a different basically common or uncommon or elite passive skill. You should be very wary of that. As you're building your characters, you're going to want to base it off certain things. For instance, the meta right now for some classes are, attack power for XYZ or crit damage, crit rate. In general, I run a Zerker and we try to, stay with attack, crit damage, and then crit rate last. So personally, I am maxing out on my attack power as much as possible, and then coming in second place is crit damage. By all means, you can run any way you like to. You can do health and defense. Might not necessarily be the best build, but if you can make it work for you, all the better. As with gear, guys, you're going to want to pay attention also to the min and max rolls for said gear. So, for instance, you might have let's take for instance the Expedition X +5. That's currently what the highest one is in this particular weapon set. So your min roll is 480 and your max roll is 600. You want to pay attention to these mins and maxes. This will allow you to really bust out the best possible build for your character as long as you're maxing or maximizing your rolls on the items you're using. You should be well set off. So just pay attention to the mins and maxes. Let's take another look at another. Let's do metal armor, for instance, body armor. So let's take a look at, for instance, Executioner's body armor. You're looking at a min roll of 594 and a max roll of 1400. Like I said, always pay attention to these rolls as this will help you sell your equipment as well. The higher the roll you have is going to assist you in selling that piece of armor or weapon. On to number 4. Okay, so number 4, guys, is going to be your accessories. When you're leveling up, I would say between 1 and 20, I would say you don't really need to worry about these necessarily unless you come into a lot of starseeds. But in general, you can worry about accessories when you reach like level 20 and then on. So what you're going to see is accessories have a specific amount of ruins required to activate said accessory. So for instance, right now I have 13 out of 8 reds. So I have more than enough reds to activate this power, as you see on the Horde necklace. Increases attack power by 431. I have 13 out of 8. As you can see below, though, increases PvE XP gain. Those are purple runes. I only have 1 out of the 2, so that is not activated. It is currently inactive as it says. So be wary when you are deciding on what accessories you want to roll with to note that your runes will affect that. The runes you'll see on each item. So I have 2 reds, 1 green, 2 reds, 1 green, 1 red, 1 green, 1 yellow. They will be completely different on each piece of armor, and you cannot change these. Do note that there are rainbow ruins in some pieces of armor. Now, I've not seen them yet on the PC version. I've seen them a couple times on Xbox. Basically, the rainbow ruins account for whatever color's there, add an additional 1. So if there was a rainbow rune in that last slot, you would have 2 reds, 2 greens, 2 yellows, and that's basically how it works. So be wary of that. As you're building your accessories, you're going to want to make sure that you have the correct runes on your equipment to activate said accessories. You can actually go into the marketplace and take a look at all the accessories and decide early on what you want to build to, which would give you more of an idea of what you're trying to work towards. So for instance, we go in here, you can look at each one. Some of them don't even require runes actually. So, but let's see, look here, Grassland necklace, let's Forgotten Knights. So PvP defense, you need 8 whites and 2 greens, for instance. So as you'll see, the runes 100% affect each piece of accessory. So be very wary of that when you are building your character, I would say after level 20. Next, we're going to talk about blessing. So blessings in general are your, let's call them passive. So as you can see, you're going to have 4 different options for your blessings. You could look into builds that people are building and try to find the meta. I suggest you actually try these out, but I wouldn't necessarily say to level them up until you find one you like. So as you can see here, I'm a Zerker. I'm running Mark of the Wolf specifically for the Beating Earth, which increases shock type combos 32.5% currently. And then Trudging Grasp, as you can see, I'm just leveling up this specifically because I use Relentless Cleave, and I'm currently not using Earthbreaker, but further down the road I might. So as you can see, you want to level this stuff up with what you're going to get is you're going to get breaths of blessings, basically. We'll talk about that a little later. But you're going to want to go and try all of these out. And like I said, don't necessarily level them up yet. Try them out and see how they affect your build first. And then that's when you want to dump your breaths into this. So since we're talking about blessings, let's talk about breaths that are involved with increasing the level of your blessing. So as you can see here, in Mark of the Wolf, we have Breath of the Wolf Berserker, and it's gray. Then below that, we have a green one, Breath of the Wolf Berserker. This means that I leveled up the gray to the point where it now becomes green. Similar to when you level up your armor and you're increasing the gear score, you are actually increasing the level of these passive skills, basically. So what you're going to do is it's going to go from gray to green to blue to purple to legendary, and I believe it actually even goes to mythic, if I'm not mistaken. So the same thing here, you're going to level these up with your breaths. Now, what a lot of people don't know is you can actually pull these from the Ancient Altar, which in my opinion, if you're not pulling, as you can see there, it says above draw and draw 10, there's a purchase status, 30 out of 30. You're going to want to draw these 30, and you're going to want to spend your 30,000 starseed daily on this. You will 100% make back that money with the breaths that you pull out of here. Even if you don't use them for yourself, you'll probably end up making that money back, so I highly suggest doing that today. In general, and I'm actually going to show what it's going to look like. So I'm going to draw 10. I spent 10,000 starseed, and it's just going to go through, and it's going to see right here, for instance, we got a blue Breath of Valor Crusader and a blue Breath of the Crescent Moon Ranger. Now, off the top of my head, I don't know what if these are good for that class, but what you're going to do is you're going to take these, and if you don't need them, you can either fuse the green ones together to make another blue one, or you can save up 5 blue ones to make one purple one. How you do that is you go to your Fusion Specialist right here. So the Fusion Specialist is a special guy. He's going to take your breaths, and let's just do this, for instance. We'll do 5 of these, right? And you're going to hold and fuse. So as you can see there, when you hold the button fuse, it's going to go into a rare. So let's take a look at what we get. And it's completely random what you get. There's no, choice of what you get. You just get a random one. So let's do this one more time. Let's do one more time. Put some random ones in there because I don't really care right now off the top of my head. And it's right there. I just got 2 for the Berserker, which is fantastic. Although I don't think I'm using either one of those. The blue ones, these will sell for a lot of money. For instance, like the Breath of the Valor Crusader, this might sell for like 40, 50K. So you're going to make your money back on those breaths from the Ancient Altar. So make sure you're pulling these 30 of these a day if you can. If you can't, just wait until you get a little higher level, and then I'll work on pulling these as you do. Okay guys, so right next to our blessings, we have our skills. So when I see a lot of people asking this question on the Reddit and online in general, they're worried about dumping SP into these skills. So what you need to know is you can actually re-roll the SP into different skills whenever you want. All you gotta do is pay a fee from the limited time merchant for an SP reset scroll, which is right here, reset upgrade skills. So you buy this for 20,000 starseed, and you're going to reset all these skills all over again. And my suggestion to everybody is to at least unlock each one, although I haven't unlocked a couple of these because I know specifically what I'm going for. I suggest unlocking them and at least trying them out. Getting a feel for each one. You can equip 4 of these, any 4 of these you want, to your keybinds. So for instance, I have Leap, I have Whirlwind, and then I've got Relentless Cleave. And then of course I've got my favorite right now, which is Guillotine. And that just keeps going and going and going. So as you can see, you can actually just respec those as you see fit, and you don't really need to worry about the skill points. Just go ahead and try them all out and see what feels right Like I said, you can always look at the meta and you can go with that, but don't hesitate to try something new. Maybe your build would be the new meta. Who knows? Okay, guys, I know another big one that a lot of people were asking about, or they don't even know about, is Starseed exchanges. So Starseed Exchange, Alvera, is going to be your daily thing you're going to be doing. You're going to want to go to her, and you're going to want to exchange your money for Starseeds. Right now, I can get up to 11,000 with this one, but you do up to 5 stacks, basically. The first one being 100, second one being 1,000, and so on up to 56. And I believe there's 5 sets of that. So you roughly make about 50,000 Starseeds a day just by going to her and trading in your gold that you make into Starseeds. So make sure you're doing that every day. You're going to the Starseed Exchange. There's one of these in every major city. So you have one in Tristeza, you have one in Navarra, you've got one in Karzakor, Spirios. Everywhere you go, there's going to be a Starseed Exchanger. Along with the Starseed Exchange, you're going to have the Limited Time Merchant. The Limited Time Merchant is going to give you some items that are less expensive than what you'd normally find on the marketplace. Sometimes, but not always. Pay attention to what you're buying because it might be cheaper on the marketplace, okay? So obviously you're going to want to buy your artifact cores. These cores, as you see here, I've got 76. I was kind of upgrading the crap out of some stuff. These allow you to upgrade your equipment. You get these cores, so you see right here, 200, and if you look at the bottom right-hand screen, that's where you see my 76. As you break down equipment, you get these cores. Breaking down equipment will give you cores to level up other equipment. Be wary that you're not breaking down equipment that you love. You can lock said equipment by going to your bag, going into your weapon, hitting said button, and locking or unlocking it. Okay, so now back to the Limited Time Merchant. You want to go in here, you're going to want to buy these almost every single time. If you have the money, you're going to want to buy artifact cores. You're going to want to buy, you know, in general, things that you might need on here. Like, for instance, equipment upgrade stones. It's 7,500 Starseeds here. It's probably about 2,000 Starseeds in the market, so just pay attention to what you're buying. Another one on Binding Scrolls, 30,000 Starseeds here. It's probably about 10,000 in the market. So just be wary of that when you're buying stuff from the Limited Time Merchant. One of the biggest things to pay attention to is precise repair tools. A lot of people need these to upgrade their A-grade weapons, and a lot of people tend to break their stuff and not have this, and they'll pay out the wazoo to have these. Right now, I think they're going on the market for just an extra 15k, so they're selling for like 65,000 Starseeds. You can make a little money on these. Just be wary of that. Next on our list is going to be the marketplace. So the marketplace is where you're probably going to spend a lot of your time when you get closer to endgame. This is basically where you're going to buy and purchase all the stuff that you can possibly need, such as new weapons, offhand armor, or offhand weapons, armor, accessories, consumables, recipes, material. I mean, there's everything is here. Everyone is selling it. It's very rare that anything is unsellable. So if you need anything in particular, maybe it's even, I believe actually quest items you can't sell here. So if you need it for quest, you have to go out and get that yourself. But in general, you can buy everything here. If you need your armor fortification stones, repair tools, see precise repair tools are going for 70k instead of 60k or 50k from the Limited Time Merchants. So just pay attention to that stuff. But yeah, you can go to the marketplace and buy anything you want with your Starseeds. They do not accept gold at the marketplace. As you purchase items, you'll see, let's go into my axes, for instance. Let's go into a very common one, Expedition Axe. So the prices are going to range drastically based off the ruins that you see on the weapon, the roll for the said, whatever you want to call it, the passive or active ability. So for instance, this increases attack power by 560, max roll is 600. Normally Zerkers are going for reds, so it's got 2 reds on it, which is good. That's why this person, and it's also at a mythic +5, which is the max you can get for a weapon. A-grade weapons are not the end game weapons. I would say they're very close to being end game weapons. But in general, a weapon like this, I guarantee you no one else is selling a +5 right now on the market. So that's why they're bumping this up to 5.9 million. And as you see below it, things are much less expensive, going down as far as 100,000 Starseeds. So just pay attention to that and make sure you're buying weapons and armor that have the ruins, at least starting ruins, that you require. More than likely, if a weapon or item has 2 reds or 2 whites in the beginning, you might get lucky enough to get a 3rd red or white out of them. I actually had 2 items go 4 reds on both of them, so it can happen, definitely. One thing to note when you're on the marketplace and you're selling items, so you can only sell, I believe, 20 items at a time, which you can see I'm selling a bunch of stuff. But as you're selling it, let's say for instance, Healing Potion 2. Now, Healing Potion 2, although it says to list it at 2,000, that's not giving you the going rate for the market value. So, for instance, the Healing Potion 2 is probably actually worth 4,000 star seeds, not 2,000. This can drastically change, where if you're selling something like, let's take a look at what I got here. We take a look at something like Breaths. So Breath of the Wolf Berserker, this is saying to sell for 5,000. This is probably more like worth 15 to 20,000. So just be very wary when you're listing items on the marketplace. Pay attention to what the price is currently. So I should actually, let's just check this. Breath of the Valor Berserker. Right now it's saying for listed for 5,001. So let's go here. Let's go to material, Breath of Valor Berserker. So right there is asking for 10k instead of, what was it, 5k? It was 5k, I believe it was. Oop. Yeah, so 5,000. So right there, you doubled your money right there. So just pay attention to that when you're selling items on the market. Okay, one of my favorite things about this game, and I know a lot of people hate this, but if you've played other games like Black Desert Online, you'll know that the enhancing or upgrading part of this game is baby talk compared to Black Desert, where you actually lose the item when something breaks. So for instance, when you go to upgrade items, as you can see here, you can upgrade this. I don't have the cores currently to upgrade anything because I was going crazy, but you can upgrade your items at the common enhancer. Like I said before, when you upgrade items, anything up to Mythic +5 will not break. As soon as you get to Legendary, that's when your stuff will break and where you're going to need your repair tools or an additional item of that same item. So I would need, if my Expedition Axe +2 broke, I could use another Expedition Axe, or I can use a repair tool. Note that at the middle top of the screen, you have an additional success rate. So you can actually increase your success rate every time you fail. So when you fail, that will go up by 2.5 every time when you're with the common enhancer here. Or if you really want to, and you want to get crazy, you can actually go to Goldstone Ascent. There is an unlicensed enhancer here. Now the unlicensed enhancer, he, instead of just failing you on your upgrade, he will break and destroy your item, whatever you're trying to upgrade, and basically give you a 7.5 additional success rate instead of the 2.5. This is how you actually build what you call fail stacks to increase your weapon's power easier. So instead of having 2.5 additional success rate, I have 10% because I tried. I broke an item over there, came over here, tried to upgrade my axe, it failed, and now they gave me an additional 2.5. So right there, that's 10% all in. So next on our list is going to be matchmaking. Let's just dive into this real quick and just touch on each one, as you guys are going to be jumping into the matchmaking eventually at some point to do dungeons, lairs, warlords, arenas, and battlefields. So we'll start at the right and work left. So Warlords Arena is going to be your 3v3, which is a PvP. You can get tokens for that, as you can tell, the victory tokens, which allows you to buy interesting armor and stuff. And I believe it even lets you buy like panaceas and things like that that'll increase your attack. Battlefield is, I believe, a 10v10 or 15v15. I can't remember off the top of my head. I rarely do Battlefield. Same thing, PvP, victory tokens at the end. It can be a lot of fun to just fight other people in PvP. This is a good way to test your skills. Time dungeons. So time dungeons are basically a rotation that the game does where you're going to want to do these for sure because you get a free chest out of each time dungeon you do. So for instance, Emissary Flame. See if you're looking at my name, No Deflection. I have level, which has a green little dot, and the gear score, green little dot. So they're both good. Below that, you're going to see time dungeon progress, chest ×1. To the right, you'll see a 2 out of 2, which means if I run this time dungeon twice, I'll actually get 4 chests instead of 2. Same thing with, actually Shadow Visions I ran like 30 times last night, so I have no more of those. And Dream Scales, I ran once last night, I guess, so I only have 1 more to get an additional chest out of. But just be aware of that. For the time dungeons, you can actually get double the chests for the first 2 times you run it. They're basically, this is their way of incentivizing people for running specific dungeons. I believe when it was on Xbox, people were avoiding certain dungeons because they didn't have good loot in it. Here, they're trying to incentivize you to actually run every dungeon, so it's not a terrible idea. Also, one last thing for the time dungeons. if you're in a guild, you can actually go into your guild, go to your guild depot, and get a timed dungeon reward booster. I'm going to grab right now, draw. So the timed dungeon reward booster is going to actually increase the odds of you getting better items or whatever, weapons, armor, whatever it is, out of the timed dungeon. So you're going to want to use that. As you can see, if you see join queue down below, you're going to see add reward count. So depending on what dungeon you're going to do, you're going to want to add this to said dungeon. So I'll be doing it with Dreamscale Runes. I'll run this later with my group, and I'll get an additional chance at some better tiered weapons and or armor. Next is going to be dungeons, which are generally the same thing as the time dungeons, except for these are always here and always able to be taken on. Basically, it goes up to Temple of Lies. So this is going to be run a million times over. It never rotates. It's always there. You can always jump in whenever you want. And then your matchmaking lobby, you can basically queue up to 5 of these, and you can basically start matchmaking, and it'll queue you for the quickest possible match in that 5 that you queue up. And you can just take them out if you want. You don't need them all in there, and so on and so forth. It's pretty simple. It's a good system for right now. I actually think they did a great job with this compared to the Xbox and PS4 version. And last but not least for the matchmaking, there are actual dungeons called Abyssal dungeons. So Abyssal dungeons, if you go into time dungeons, you're going to see this down here below. It's currently level locked for 35. These, the devs basically said, are going to be, bar none, the hardest dungeons in the game, which they are. I can tell you right now, we've had a bunch of groups run through the Abyssals on PC, and it's been pretty tough for the first couple of groups. Now, if you don't know the mechanics, which I have videos on almost every dungeon in the game, if you don't know the mechanics, this can be extremely hard. Not only that, the mechanics, but the bosses and enemies hit extremely hard as well. So Abyssals are your end-all be-all end game dungeon content. Real quick, we're going to touch on the stable. So the stable is in your main menu. You're going to click on that, and this will actually show you what mounts you can have. Each mount has its own separate sprints. So for instance, the horse has 2, this ostrich has 2, the duck has 1, and the white-clad kid has 0. So what I mean by that is when you have something equipped, you can bring out your mount, and as you can see, the horseshoes below, that gives it the amount of sprints below. Next on our list is going to be unions. So unions will basically give you some pretty awesome little buffs depending on what you choose. So let's go, for instance, to sentinels and take a look at what they have. So PV skills, let's take a look at the, if you're looking to the right, the union skill, Divine Intervention, press RB while holding LB. I'm currently using a controller, as you can see. Rescue all allies from near death within a certain radius, reduces caster's HP to 50%, and revives all allies with 1% of their max HP. This can be a clutch save in dungeons, just saying. Not that, everyone uses it, but if you are in the Sentinels Union, it's a great thing to have. There are a lot of other buffs as well and debuffs that you can put on yourself with each union, but just if you're running dungeons, Sentinels is great for crafting and gathering. The Artisan Society is fantastic. At some point, you actually, obviously, you can actually turn yourself into an object, which can be really fun in PvP, and avoid people by turning yourself into a box. But as the Artisans, you can actually eventually mount and gather at the same time, which is a fantastic skill to have when you're gathering. And then Core of the Ravens, let's look at that real quick. Prevents death from PvP damage for a brief time. Obviously, this is going to be the most clutch thing you can use in any PvP match, or if you're out in the open world doing PvP, this will also save you. With the unions, as I said before, they all have their own traits. As you can see here, I'm not going to go through all these right now, but the Sentinels is more of a team-based oriented. Artisan Society is more of a gathering and crafting oriented, and Court of the Ravens is mostly PvP oriented. You'll actually start getting union quests from a little dude named Taming, which happens over here in the Dry Sand Barrens, which is in the Null Wastes. As you can see here, I have not done anything with my union, and he is currently right here. So there's Taming, a new friend. Follow his quest line to either get the Sentinels, Artisans, or the Ravens. I guess one of the last things I should mention as far as PvP is concerned, the Warlords Arena and Battlefield, yes, they're both PvP-oriented little battle arena stage type deals, but there is also open world PvP. It is so rare, though, that you see people griefing people in PvP in this game. I have yet to get PvP'd. And I'm not nearly high as far as I'm concerned in gear score, but you rarely see it. And I believe you don't even start seeing the PvP accessible areas until you're roughly 26, 27. So if PvP is a thing you're worried about for this game, by no means should you be worried about it. It's nothing whatsoever. I suggest that as far as PvP is concerned, if you are getting griefed by someone, just put it in the global chat for help, and I'm sure somebody will come to your aid 100%. Last but not least, guys, this is my last tip and trick for this game. It's going to be guilds. You are going to want to get into a guild as soon as possible when you enter this game. A lot of guilds necessarily aren't picking up brand new players, but if you can get to like level 20, 25, and you start actually building your character up, you're going to want to find a guild as soon as possible. Guilds will allow you to get guild perks. You'll be able to use the guild depot to get certain items. But more specifically, being in a guild is going to allow you to run through these dungeons. These dungeons are where the end game is. This is going to allow you to get these items in these dungeons. For instance, this Emerald Patreon, I believe this is worth like 90,000 starseed for a mythic one, or maybe even 200,000 starseed. Being in a guild is going to allow you to make friends, obviously. If you're a loner and you're trying to do everything by pugging it or pick up group, in this game you're going to have a very tough time. You're probably going to get very frustrated. This is a very team-oriented game. Not saying you have to do everything with a team. You could definitely pug some stuff by yourself and pick up random people to do dungeons. But because everything is so mechanic heavy in a lot of these dungeons, you will more than likely fail a lot of the time, especially with people who don't know what they're doing. And it's not their fault, you know, it might be their first time. But regardless, being in a guild is only going to increase and help you get to endgame quicker, and that's where the most fun is. So with that being said, guys, I hope this guide really helped you out. I really, really love this game. I played it through, I think I'm like a 1405 gear scored Zerk on Xbox, and I love it. I just actually took a break for a while because I had a kid. So we are back into it on PC, and my little man's currently growing up, so I'm back and forth between this and some other games, and I'm trying to get you guys some more videos as soon as possible. So if you guys like what you see, hit that like button, hit the notifications for more videos that are coming out for Bless Unleashed, and for New World as well. I'll be picking that up as well. And then, as always, thank you all, and I appreciate it. Peace out.